Good morning, Ben Skora. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
Fine. I just playing not Andy Williams, Sammy Davis Jr. in the Candy Man. Your man isn't made out of candy by any chance at all, is he?
No, he's made out of metal.
In fact, is it a man or is it a woman?
No, it's a man. Although I'm just finishing up a small one, about half the size, which could be a female. It could go either way at this point.
That's the one that looks a little bit like the R2-D2 character from Star Wars, I take it.
True, yeah.
Boy, you have been written up everywhere. You live in Palos Hills, but you have appeared in newspapers. You've been written up in Us magazine, and in fact, that's the copy that I have in front of me at the moment.
Take a look at National Geographic World. They did some beautiful things in color in there.
You're becoming a celebrity of sorts, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I guess. That's not really my bag, but they suddenly put me in show business.
You are a psychotherapist by trade.
Yes, I do hypnosis.
Now, do you do anything, or have you had any kind of electrical experience or engineering or anything? Why would a guy like you, a psychotherapist, get involved in robots?
Well, actually, I never got out of high school.
No kidding.
No, I went to second year high and dropped out, but I have had the ability to pick things up very easily, learn very rapidly.
Fortunately, you didn't stay in school long enough to have them ruin you then.
Maybe that's it. No, really, the whole name of the game is never put limitations on oneself.
That's a good philosophy to live by, I think.
When you start to put limitations on you, you think about doing something immediately. You say, "Oh, I can't do it. It seems like too big of a project," and you just let it slide by.
Mm-hmm. What is the difference between? Is it A-Rock? How do you pronounce the name?
A-Rock.
A-Rock.
That's my name backwards without the S.
I got it. How do you characterize the difference, or how would you describe the difference, say, between A-Rock, your robot, and maybe something that you would see at Disneyland, one of those figures that moves around and seems to talk?
Well, the figures in Disneyland are what we call audio animatronics. They're animated by the electrical impulses from the sound, and they do not walk or move out of their position, so everything is fed to them through a pillar of sort, where they can just move sideways a bit, and but they never actually walk out. So in those units, they have a lot of room for all kinds of mechanics, whereas Airlock, who is self-contained and battery supply and everything, goes out on his own. He's limited to how many servo units and things that you can apply to him.
Mm-hmm. What does he weigh?
He weighs 275 pounds.
Now, would it be dangerous if you got between A-Rock and the wall, perhaps?
Well, no, he does have sensors on him. If he hits an obstacle or a person or something, he will shut down and back off.
I guess this is the obvious question. Why? Why did you build A-Rock?
Well, as you probably have seen from some of the articles that I have an all-electronic home. Everything is electronic. I have revolving living room, disappearing toilets, and bars and things like that. And I just thought he would fit right in with the decor.
Mm-hmm.
So I built Airlock to push the push button.
Now, he does practical things like what? Vacuum the floor?
Yes, he can vacuum the carpets, take the dog for a walk, which is really neat. When it's cold or raining out, you don't feel like going out, you just send Airlock out with him.
Now, wait a second here. You mean this robot actually just takes the dog out and you don't have to walk with it or anything?
No, I control him from the house. Okay, we have two modes of operation with this robot. He is completely remote controlled, and in this mode of operation, he is an extension of myself. I hear through him, I see through him, and I manipulate the arms and everything, through him.
Now, you mean you must have, a television-type camera inside Airlock?
No, not in this one. In the other one, I do. Airlock I have to keep within sight, and because I'm out here in the boondocks, I can see almost a mile either way, so when I send him out with the dog, I just run him down the street, and even the computerized robot wouldn't know when a dog had to go or not, but I can see it from here,
Uh-huh.
So, and then the other mode of operation, of course, he has a memory bank computer in him, and he can be programmed to do these things on his own.
Now, for some of the folks who don't have the magazine or perhaps haven't seen pictures, he looks, I guess, what anybody would figure a robot to look like. Are his arms completely flexible? Can all the fingers and everything move?
Yes, he is the most humanoid robot, the one that has a human form. Most of your robots, like R2-D2 and everything, are barrel-type units, And he does bend at the waist and turn at the waist. The elbows bend. The shoulders are In other words, the arm and everything works exactly like a human being. The only thing on the fingers, they grab and hold things, but only the index finger and the thumb are operable.
So, in other words, to hold the vacuum sweeper, you have to somehow come up with some kind of a connection?
No, he can grasp that.
He can?
Yeah, there's no problem. He can hold that. As a matter of fact, he holds broom. He can take and sweep the drive. As a matter of fact, he can grab a broom, probably with a 10-foot length of pole on it, and lift it straight arm up, which is almost impossible for the average human to do.
He wouldn't be able to pick up an egg and break an egg without smashing it to smithereens, would he?
Oh, yeah. He has sensors in his hands also, because when we go on shows, he shakes hands with the kids and everything, and naturally it shuts down before it hurts them, or does any harm.
As far as leg movement, does he have wheels on the bottom of his feet, or how does that work?
Yes, he does have 3 wheels, 1 drive wheel and steering, and 2 in the front. It's very maneuverable, but the next one I build is actually going to walk like people.
No kidding.
That's quite a challenge.
I think that's
the name of the game for me. If it's a challenge, I like to do it.
You know, does this give you, and now you deal with the brain all the time, does this give you a greater appreciation for the human body because of all of the things it's able to do?
Oh, definitely. It really opens your eyes. You see so many people doing things that deteriorate their body, and you think to yourself, my God, what it takes mechanically to duplicate the body is, fabulous.
I was just thinking, for a robot to walk, he would have to have a sense of balance, right?
Right. The equilibrium is a big problem on him. We would need gyros of some sort, and even on level ground, then when you consider him walking upstairs or walking up an incline, it really gets hairy.
Man, that's a fascinating subject. Can you hang on? I want to play a commercial or so.
All right.
And I'd like to chat with you just a little bit more about A-Rock, the robot. It's 12 minutes in front of 10 o'clock.
Open up, America. Open up your sandwiches to Kraft American Singles. Give your barbecue beef a break. Make your sub surface. Turn on your tuna salad. Put individually wrapped Kraft Singles in every sandwich you make. Remember, Kraft Singles processed cheese food slices are America's favorite American. So open up.
You'll love that sandwich more if you make room for flavorful slices from Kraft. America spells cheese. K-R-A-F-T.
Soap gives you more deodorant protection than Dial.
Dial, I'm glad I use it.
No soap gives you a more clean and confident feeling.
You're feeling clean, just like you should. With Dial, you're always feeling good.
You just can't buy a better deodorant soap.
Dial, I'm glad I use it. Dial.
We have a fire, of course, going on this morning, a rather serious fire at the Home Sweet Home mission in Bloomington. The normal fire department has been called in. All of Bloomington's units, as I understand it, were called in, and they brought in an aerial type truck, one of those that's capable of reaching up quite a distance. So it is a major fire. We'll have more information as it's made available to us, and we'll pass it along your way. We're at 10 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Let Springcrest's good taste reflect your good taste. And right now, let Springcrest Custom Drapery's first birthday sale save you money on window treatments. For this event, Springcrest has reduced a large selection of fabrics and woven shades a full 20%. Save 30% on decorator pillows. So stop by soon. For a limited time only, they're offering great savings at Springcrest Custom Draperies in Zaire Plaza.
Springcrest.
You've been on all the talk shows then. Mike Douglas?
Yeah, we did the Donahue and Mike Douglas and
The Tonight Show.
The Tonight Show, the morning shows. So far I've done 35 television shows. Most of them were talk shows.
You get around doing some personal things, too, like you mentioned, with the schools. You take them out and show them to the kids.
Yeah, schools, scout meetings, Boy Scouts, and we did the Centennial Parade, things like that.
Now, this weekend you're going to be out with A-Rock, right?
Yeah, we're going to do a thing at La Crosse Bank. It will be a ribbon-cutting ceremony, which is quite unique. He does it with a laser gun. He cuts the ribbon with a laser, and of course it goes up in a big puff of smoke, which is a little out of the ordinary.
How long did it take you, Ben, to build A-Rock?
It took me 3.5 years.
And that's working, what, nights and that kind of thing on him?
No, sometimes all day long till wee hours in the morning.
Of course, you're pretty flexible with your schedule,
right.
I suppose.
I do all of my therapy by appointment, so I can either put them all into one day and work that whole day and then work the rest of the week on my type of thing.
Mm-hmm. What is the hardest part about doing all this? Is it mechanical, or is it electrical, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. If you get a good electronics man, by himself he couldn't build it. He would have to have the knowledge of mechanics, a thorough knowledge of mechanics, because it takes quite a bit to make these things move. To make them move is one thing, which we go back to audio animatronics in Disneyland. But to make them move and do something useful, like lifting weight or something, the Aeroc can lift up about 125 pounds.
Uh-huh. In a way, you're trying to. As soon as you try to make it humanoid, you run into certain problems.
Oh, all kinds of problems. You've got wrist movement, you've got elbow movement, and each time you put another axis to work, it has a change on the other part, so you have to change that around, and it gets pretty heavy.
Uh-huh. Can I ask you to hang on again?
Sure.
I think we have a report, if I'm not mistaken. I think we have a report from the scene in this fire, and let's switch out. Steve Vogel, I believe, has a report. Steve?
That's right, Ken. Just moments ago, bright orange flames broke out through the roof of the Home Sweet Home Mission on the southeast edge of downtown Bloomington at the corner of Wood and Gridley. And at this point, my unexpert opinion would say that the mission is going to be, if not a total loss, at least very close to it. The fire seemed to be centered on the third floor of the mission, or second from the top. That's where some clothing is stored. And then the fire quickly spread to the fourth or top story, depends upon which end of the building you look at, because actually the ground slopes. And now the flames are shooting very high into the air out of the top, and black smoke is billowing into the air. All off-duty Bloomington firemen have been called to the scene, and so have some normal firemen to assist in this major blaze. There's a chance that the south side of the mission, which is newer and has better fireproofing in it, could be saved. But at this point, I would say it's only a 50-50 chance. The major office area, along with the dormitories, are housed in that newer area. One other note, I talked to some of the people who were staying here, and they told me that one of them was up on the fourth floor only moments before a smoke alarm sounded, and did not smell any smoke at that time. He was going down the elevator, stepped off the elevator, and that's when the smoke alarm sounded. Most of the people who were staying here were taking part in 2 Bible classes in the basement of the Home Sweet Home Mission when the alarm sounded. To the best of our knowledge, no one has been hurt, but there is a major fire at the Home Sweet Home Mission, and at this point, very extensive damage, perhaps total loss. We'll have further report, at least on the news at 10:30, and perhaps before then. From the scene, Steve Vogel, WJBC News.
Thank you, Steve. We do have a major fire going on in town, Ben, and appreciate you for hanging on. This is, I suppose, something that, as you mentioned while we were listening to Steve report, robots could be used to put out fires, huh?
Yes, robots could be used in dangerous areas where it's too dangerous for a human being to go, and of course, a robot can be replaced, a human being can't.
Although when you work 3.5 years on something like this, you'd think, boy, I'd hate to see that thing destroyed.
Well, that's true, except in this particular case, we're talking about research and development and that type of thing. But when it's all this work is over, the basic work is over, and it was to be put in production, of course, it would go very quickly.
Uh-huh. And of course, I don't mean to say that a robot would be more valuable than a human life, because that's not the case at all.
Right.
It's a fascinating hobby that I guess has turned into something that may be an aid to scientists all over the world. Have you been contacted? Now, I know we've talked about you being on different talk shows and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've gotten calls from all over the world, people wanting to build robots, people interested in building them and using them for different things. The Japanese want me to come out there for a couple of weeks. They want to build some toys like Aeroc,
Yeah.
So it's gotten to be quite a hectic thing, but it was a challenge. I enjoyed it, and to see something like that work and breathe, as you might put it, breathe life into it and see it walking down the driveway here is quite a challenge.
I would certainly think so.
However, I'm working on the little one that I'm working on. He will be controlled by the brainwave. I'll be able to think and transmit my thoughts to him and have him do what I think.
Now, wait a minute.
I know I could get in a lot of trouble that way.
Well, you wouldn't want to think sexually, maybe, huh?
Right. Like Arak, he was a judge at Miss Nude America, and he got into Playboy magazine. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I missed it, unfortunately.
But I certainly wouldn't want to take the other one there.
Now, you open up a whole new ball of wax, though. You mean to tell me you're going to be able to think and telepathically control a robot?
Well, let's say telekinetically.
You won't push any buttons. All you will have to do is think.
Right. You're familiar with Uri Geller, I suppose.
Yeah, but I've heard many, controversial reports about that fella.
Yeah, well, we do a lot of, along with the hypnosis for 30 years, I've been researching into the psychic phenomena and so forth. And using hypnosis, I have been able to condition people to use the telekinesis type of equipment, And I was given a $7,500 encephalograph from one of the medical outfits to do research in studying the brainwave.
To do that to a human is unbelievable enough for me to comprehend, but to do it with a machine,
Oh yeah, it will work. I've already had success with it. I've had several functions working on it, but I have to analyze the brainwave a little bit more and try to correlate it, throw it into computers, and try to figure out some relationship there.
What are you actually transferring when you think to a robot? Or what kind of a receiver is needed on the other end? Can you explain that to me, or you're just maybe completely...
All right, the telekinesis, I'm talking about two different modes. One mode, the telekinesis, would be, of course, directly in his back, inside of the case, is a string of buttons which controls each function, just as the relays now do through the electrical pattern.
Uh-huh.
And by mentally thinking, you should be able to push these buttons. So consequently, he will be mentally pushing the buttons, and they will be activated within the robot, and of course he will function according to the buttons that are pushed.
Boy, that is just unbelievable to me.
The second mode of operation is using the actual output of the brain and sending it as electrical impulses to the relay, to a receiver, just like you would radio waves. And of course that takes a lot of analyzing of the brain waves, so consequently it's what I'm using the encephalograph for.
Phew. Boy, you talk about your top secrets for the government and that kind of thing.
It's pretty heavy, doesn't it?
Boy, you talk about 1984 being here. Maybe this is 2084 already.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're ever out this way, if you would stop in and see the house and the robot, I think you would feel like you were in a 1990 environment.
Ben, I have to run, and I know you have a patient coming in today. Gee, I find this all hard to believe, but maybe when you get the other one completed, I would love to stop by your place sometime.
All right.
Or maybe have you back on again to talk about it, because...
If you have some children or something and you want to take a little ride out this way, bring them over. They would certainly enjoy the revolving living room and chairs that you drive around the living room and things like that.
Ben, you've been a delight.
Thank you.
Lots of luck with A-Rock, and boy, the applications and the possibilities here are just endless, I can tell. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That is Ben Skora of Palos Hills, Illinois. That is just unbelievable, isn't it? This is WJBC Bloomington, where I can just tell you quickly that we have increasing cloudiness expected today, a high of 79, partly cloudy, cool tonight, a low of 57, and then variably cloudy tomorrow with a chance of evening showers, a high of 80 degrees. Sunday, partly cloudy, chance of spotty showers late in the day. Again, there is a fire in town at the Home Sweet Home Mission, a major fire. It may totally destroy the building. At this particular time, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have more reports for you, I'm sure, on your station for news and just a little bit of everything. WJBC Bloomington at 10 o'clock.